Coming up in Down Under EV Adventures, I get a flat tyre. It's leaking. Should I use the goop or can I get to the tyre place in time? Welcome back to Down Under EV Adventures. Well, just before I left to go to Perth, I was driving around doing some jobs and I noticed that my tyre was getting flat. It was going down and I wondered if I could get to the tyre place in time. So the warning light came on. Now this is the warning light. If you're not familiar with the Atto 3, that will come on when the tyre pressure is too low. And also the tyre pressure display here, you can see it's highlighted in yellow which tyre the issue is. So when I saw it, I thought, oh, it's probably a slow leak, or it's just a little bit low and I just need to pump it up. And I noticed it was going down very, very fast. So I had to pull over, have a look at the tyre, and then sort of make a decision on what I could do. Now I did have my spare with me, my Space Saver spare, but I just thought, oh, maybe I should just pump it up with some goop. And there'll be a warning about that later on. But firstly, let's have a look how the tyre pressure system works. How the tyre pressure system works on most cars, and I believe on the Atto 3, is there's a little sensor in here and has a little tiny battery which will last between 5 and 10 years, but most people of course change their tyres and therefore you don't need to worry about the battery getting flat or replacing it. But anyway, that's how they work, and they send a little signal. They measure the pressure here and then they send it to the car. It's linked to the car. So that's how the system works. Now if we go into the car, I'll show you how to check the tyre pressure systems if you're not already aware. So this button here, if you press that once, you'll see that it will come up with some different figures there below the speedometer. If you press it twice, you'll see there's these two little blue arrows, and that means you can use this scroll here. So the scroll wheel is in the center here. You can see that's the one you want to use to go up and down the menu. Okay, so now that scroll wheel is normally for the volume. So you can see I've got the radio on at the moment. You can see the media button is going up. Okay, but if you press it twice, you'll see the blue arrows come up. And you've got about 10 or 15 seconds to then use that to scroll up. Now you can see some of the statistics which will come up when you do that. Now if you keep going, you'll come up to the tyre pressure thing there. Now if you do have an issue with the tyre pressure, then the warning light will come on, which you'll see later on in the video. So just to reiterate, here's the button here which you have to press twice. It's the menu button, and then you can use the scroll wheel then to go up and go through the different menu settings to find the tyre pressure. Now the recommended tyre pressure for an Atto 3 is 36. Now you may have noticed I do my back tyres at about 42, and that's because I tow. Now most cars and small SUVs, you can probably get away with a lower tyre pressure and it might be a bit more comfortable, but the Atto, they recommend 36. And obviously if you're carrying a lot of people and a lot of luggage, then it needs to be a bit higher. Now another thing you should be aware of is that you want to measure the tyre pressure when the tyres are cold, like they are at the moment. Okay, so I've just got up in the morning and these tyres are nice and cold. So you want to wait a couple of hours after you've driven before checking the tyre pressure. Now the reason for that is when you're driving around with the car, the heat comes off the road, particularly in warm countries like Australia. The car itself, as it's driving along, will generate heat, and then what will happen is the air inside the tyre here will expand, and then that will cause more pressure to go on this valve here and the little sensor inside it, or if you're just measuring it yourself, and therefore you're getting a false reading because it's going to show as a higher pressure even though the pressure is lower. So always make sure that you measure the tyre pressure when your tyres are cold. So first thing in the morning, or wait before checking the pressure. Okay, now let's join me in real time as I pull over and check out what the issue is with my tyre. My tyre's going down fast. I'm going to try a can of this quick fix sealant. So yeah, I was just driving along. I must have run over something. I can't see anything obvious, but yeah, I can't see anything obvious. I'm not going to make it to the garage, so I'll just have to try this first, otherwise I'll have to put the spare on. It'll be interesting to see if this sealant works for an EV tyre. So I can't see it going out anywhere. It was down as low as I think 11 or 12 psi, so I'm going to go in and see what it is now and whether this tyre's still going down. And if the tyre's still going down, I'm going to have to put the space saver on. Let's go and have a look. So I've managed to get it up to 28. There we go, now you can see it. 28 psi, so it's gone up a bit. I'm just going to drive around the car park here, see if that will stay up, and if so, I'll go and drive to the Tyre Shop and get it fixed. And that's funny, I just drove around the car park and the tyre pressure has gone up to 34. I have no idea why. I'm just going to drive very slowly around town. Yeah, I'll just wait and see if that tyre pressure warning comes up again. Otherwise, if it does, I'm going to have to go straight to the Tyre Shop. Otherwise, if it stays like this, I might be able to finish my work this morning, which would be good. So a good plug for this SuperCheap tyre repair, which you can get pretty cheaply in the SuperCheap shop. I think it's only about 25-30 bucks. I arrived at my next job and I'm up to 35. That's probably a bit of heat expanding the tyre. I'm just looking on the tyre and I can't see any of that goop I just put in. So I can't see anything obvious, but it was going down fairly quick. Oh, hang on, here we go. Now I can see it. Right, so that is the puncture. So I'm definitely going to need to get that repaired. But it looks for the moment like the tyre's holding. So yeah, I always carry a can of this quick sealant. I've bought them from various places before. This particular brand, like I said, is SuperCheap if you're in Australia. And I don't think it's more than 30 bucks. And that will save you hopefully from having to put your space saver or spare on if you carry one. And provided, of course, that the punch is not too bad. Been at this job half an hour and it's still looking good. So I'm really happy about that. Here at Tyrepower, they can't squeeze me in today, so I'm coming back tomorrow at 10:30. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully that should hold overnight. And yeah, I'll come back tomorrow and they'll fix it for me, hopefully. And there we have my tyre all repaired, good as new, which is just as well because I'm heading off for Perth in a couple of days, so I didn't really want to go on a long trip with a little hole in it. So yeah, and I'll just do the wrap up now. So there you have it, I got it repaired. It was $40 for those of you who are interested in how much it cost. And now here's the warning. So you can use this sealant if you sort of in an emergency and you decide to use it. However, I was told by not just the tyre person, but also I went online and had a look. It can actually interfere with that little sensor that issues the tyre pressure warning. So you could have an issue where it actually fails to stop working and then you'd need to get it replaced or you'd need a new tyre. So just a word of warning, luckily the guy who repaired it cleaned it for me, cleaned it all out, and then I had no issues with it. But you definitely want to have that tyre pressure sensor working. So that's just a word of warning, you have to make a decision. I guess if you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, you might decide to actually use that stuff. And I have to say, I've got no idea if the goop that comes with the car has a similar effect, because you do have a goop that you can use which comes supplied when you buy the car. So I've got no idea if that could also interfere with the sensor. I don't have enough information about that. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. Alright, anyway, that's it for now. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you learned something. Alright, take care for now there out on the roads. I hope you guys don't get a puncture. And we'll see you very soon with more on Down Under EV Adventures. Bye for now.